Welcome, everyone. We're not doing our bumper music today as I just left another meeting to get over here, so we won't have that bumper music, but we're going to give just a moment to let people get logged in, and then we'll kick things off on this training. Happy to have you here for one of our free Spark sessions. These are our free GHL trainings that we're doing, and looking forward to chatting with everybody about that. So we're going to give, like I said, just a moment here to let everybody get in. I'll make sure that all of our various transcribing tools are going on, all that fun type of stuff. And we should be in good shape there. So glad to see you there. I want to give a special welcome to Joa Crandall, who I just asked about 20 minutes ago. Joa, are you going to be on the training? Joa is my go-to when it comes to GHL stuff. Joe, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring the spotlight up on you. So Joey did not ask me to do this, by the way, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you need help with GHL, you're looking at who I recommend. It's not me, it's the pretty lady, it's Joa. She's brilliant with this stuff. I really mean that. So if you guys
Thank
are
you.
in that spot where you're like, oh, drat, what do I do? Reach out to Joa. She's very fair priced. She's incredibly smart. She knows this stuff. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. My entire team has access to Joa because we use GHL all the time. That's why I teach it. But Joe has forgotten more than I've learned. And so there's a very high probability at some point today, Joe is going to tell me I got something wrong or she's going to add some extra value in. And by the way, Joe, I appreciate that. You're welcome to do that at any point in time. But if
They
you
keep
would, Joe,
updating everything every day, so it's
oh my
something new.
gosh, it's
Yeah,
like
it's
AI
crazy.
now. I mean, it's as
It's
much as I got to
more
watch
than,
AI, it's like
well, that's
crazy.
because they gave all their developers Cloud Code
I know, yeah.
accounts.
Sean was
Hmm.
telling me about that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Every
really
day they
cool.
put some new feature out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's fun to watch and see how that happened and how it all comes in. But that also means sometimes there's changes. In fact, we're going to talk about one today as we talk about reviews. Uh, as I was prepping for it, and I'm sure Joey can relate, I was having Claude go through and double check a couple of the things that I had for facts, and it actually came up with something, and I'm like, that's not there anymore. And it's actually gated testimonials, and technically it is there. It's buried. But it used to be a feature that you could in reviews, you could say, if the review is a 3 or lower, I want to drive you to this form automatically. If it's a 4 or higher, I want to drive you to Google. They've removed that because Google basically said, no, 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 you can't do that. That's not what they like. So it's so important to keep up on what's happening because things do change all the time, and we want to make sure we're following. Even though I'm a rule bender, we want to make sure we're following the rules as best as possible. So, Joa, thank you for being here. Again, I'd not even asked Joe about it. She's generous enough to hang out and help out with any questions. So, thank you for that. If you would, Joe, I don't know if I mentioned, go ahead and throw your contact info in the chat in case anybody is interested in chatting with you.
I sure will.
Oh,
And if anybody wonders, I am a GHL certified admin. So I've gone through the GHL certified program. So
yeah, she's a whiz, plain and simple. All right, let me get my right screen up here a moment. And I've got a locked app thing. Let me see if we can get this out of the way or not. No, I don't want to stop the note taker. All right, sorry. Let's share my screen and we'll just go ahead and dive in and be messy about it. All right, so let's go over. I apologize, I'm not on the right screen. I literally, Joa knows and Sherry knows they were just on. I just literally hung up one call and said, I'll see you in about 30 seconds. So, what we need to do is we need to head over to HighLevel and we need to bring it up and we need to set up our things accordingly. I'm going to go ahead and close out this real quick. There we go. Log in. I'm on the agency plan. If you're not, no big deal. You're going to go right into your account. I'm just going to go ahead and load my account up. This is my live account. You're going to see we have some stuff configured and we have some stuff that's not. On the left-hand menu, we're going to come over here and we're going to click on reputation. And again, today is all about configuring HighLevel to help you build reviews. Because at the end of the day, when somebody goes out and looks at you, if you're no matter how well known you are, the better reviews you have, more likely those people are going to come through and work with you. And getting reviews is hard because what happens is I'll share here for a minute. When we're normally trying to get reviews, we don't have a good system in place to reach out and find out exactly how do we tell everybody. So I've got Sharon and Steve on it, and Sharon and Steve and I talk a lot. And I've never asked Sharon and Steve for a Google review. I've known them for months. They'd probably give me one, but I've never asked because I've never thought of it. And That's not uncommon. Don't feel bad. Most of us are in that thing. I don't think I've ever asked Joa for a Google review. I don't think I've even ever asked Sherry for one. So many of you on the call because I don't think about it, and that's normal. And high level gives us the ability to actually automate that so that we're automatically asking for reviews and that we're automatically moving things through. Now, it's not totally AI run, so it's not going to seem fake to your customers, but it allows us to do some things that are really important. For example, it allows us to ask for that review at the time that people are most likely to give us a good review. Let's say, for example, that I'm an HVAC contractor. When am I most likely to get a good review? It's just as my service tech is wrapping up and the customer has turned on their air and it's blowing cold air when it's hot outside. That's the moment. If I text or I email the client and ask for that 5-star review, I'm going to be most likely to get it. The reality is, though, most of us don't have a system in place to do that. And what happens then is that we think about it a day or two later, or maybe a week later, or maybe if you're like me, you think about it on the weekend and you're like, oh, I should have asked and I forgot. I'll do it next week. And next week never happens. So today we're going to dive into high level and talk about how we can use high level to do that for us. So again, I'll go back into share my screen here, get the right stuff. You're literally going to come into reputation. And I've set up some of this in the past. We don't use this as much as we should. So don't do what I do say, or don't do what I do. Do what I say. I'm a parent. I can get away with that once in a while. But I want to show you how the interface works. So when you log in, you're going to see your stats. It's going to show you your ratings, your total reviews, how things are. It's going to give you a sentiment analysis. I find this to be one of my favorites. You can literally go in and just see all of the reviews that came in, how many were at the positive, how many were neutral, and how many were negative. So that's super helpful. You can pull in links. The neat thing about this is this is not just Google reviews. You can pull in reviews from Google, you can pull in reviews from Facebook, and you can pull in reviews from Yelp. Good, Joe, are there any other platforms? I know those three are supported. Do you know if there's any others? Oh, we can do a custom one too. You could do like your own. I forgot that.
Yeah, other than that, that's the only ones I know of.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I thought so. So that's nice. You can do that. You've got a review response. So a best practice when you're getting reviews is to actually respond to those reviews and say thank you and something else. Just it's a great idea to do. I want to challenge you. It's even more important to do on a negative review. And by the way, we all get them. It does happen. I've gotten some. You'll get some. It's nature. When you get that negative review, let me give you a piece of advice. If you don't have somebody on your team that's not emotionally involved to write that review, go and let AI help you write it because it's not the time to get emotional and tell them what an idiot they are because they didn't give the both sides of the story. It's a time to demonstrate to the rest of your audience that you're a reasonable person and that you want to add value. And so just keep that in mind. All of that again can be tracked here, and that's what's really positive. You can see exactly where we're at. What's neat about though is we start thinking about, well, Jonathan, if I don't have time to ask for reviews, how am I going to have time to respond to them when I get them? Well, with high level, we don't have to worry about that because we can literally program high level to respond with their AI in a manner that reflects us to those reviews. And so that can add a ton of value and it will just automatically do that. In fact, you'll see in a minute, we can even set how long it is before we want to do that. So great dashboard, lots of stuff in here. We can even collect video testimonials. I think this is new. I wasn't aware of this until just recently. The ability to actually go out and create a collector and ask for video reviews. We can create a video widget, or no, I'm sorry, a review widget that can be embedded on our website to make it really easy. And one of my things I love is we can generate a QR code. So if you've got a physical shop or a business card or anything like that that you hand out, you can literally go ahead and generate QR codes and put those on those as well. The other thing we have in our competitor, or I'm sorry, in our overview is a competitor analysis. If you've ever wanted to know how are my competitors doing or what's happening with them, this is a great tool to be using here because you have the ability to go in and add in competitors and high level will help you monitor those competitors in real time. And that's great if you want to see what they're doing that's working well, what's not working, anything along those lines. It can be super beneficial to have that. I love that part of it. I don't have it configured here because I don't really have a lot of direct competitors in the same way, other than a few friends that I have that I know what they do because we talk about it. But again, I could put this in, especially valuable if you're a brick and mortar business or if you're in a high competitor business to be able to check your reviews. It's easy. You literally go click on Add Competitor and you start searching for the business that you want. So let's just say, for example, this is bringing up stuff now by me, and let's just make it fun since I've got two bars nearby, Third Base and Good Time Charlie's. Let's say I want to look up Third Base. I can just start typing it. There it is, Third Base Sports Bar. It pops right up. It's added it into my competitor that I can look at, and it will tell me they've got a 4.6 rating with 52 reviews that I can see. Maybe I say, well, you know what? I want to add another one in here. And so I'm going to add in Good Time Charlie's. There we go. It's just down the street and they've got 4.2 with 188 reviews. So again, I can just go in super easy and I can add those in and they'll be added into my competitor analysis if I save those. I didn't save those. You can then look up scores and competitive grids. I love the sentiment side. Well, how are people going? Maybe is that competitor going negative lately? Maybe they've got a management issue or somebody that's causing a problem. You get to see all of that and then where the sources are coming from. So not only is this, like I said, checking Google reviews, it's going to check Google reviews, Facebook reviews. I just forgot the other one. And sorry, guys, it's been a long day. And you can also set up customized reviews for you. So that's super easy. If you want to make a request, you literally just head over here and you click on send a review request. You can also configure your review link. I highly recommend before you do it that you configure your link. You can come in here and determine what you want. So this basically says when I send it out, I'm going to ask for a link on either Facebook or Google. They have a great feature here called review balancing. So if you're trying to figure out and say, I need reviews on both, I don't want to just ask for Facebook, I don't want to just ask for Google, you can do review balancing and Google or the system will watch where your reviews are coming in from and it'll alternate back and forth with some logic to help make sure that they're asking for reviews on new sources. So you don't just build up Google for 2 months and forget about Facebook or vice versa. And it's as simple to connect as you click on the Google review. If your account is connected like mine is, you're going to get a drop down. You simply select your business. And then the beauty is it's got your link. It's all right there. Same on Facebook. And once I've got that done, I just press save and it's all set and ready to go. So now when I go to my request, I literally say send a review request and I can send this to anybody that I want. I'll give you a preview. We have configured a custom email, and I recommend you do the same. So we've got a little branded email up here that explains what's happened, and we're in the process of getting this rolled out. It hasn't quite happened yet, but will be timed what we like. In this case, it's going to go out right after our trainings are done, so it'll be timed appropriately that, and I don't have to remember to do it. It'll happen automatically. So you can even create custom emails to make that happen. This is part of what I like is that you can choose automated ways to send these out. So when an email, they call it a check-in, but that could be when an event happens or an event ends. How do I want to do that? I can choose to do it immediately, an hour later, 2 hours, 4 hours, or a custom. I could do custom, for example, and maybe I want to say I want to do just 1 hour. I can put that in, or I can customize that however I want. You also have this, and I encourage you to be careful with this part, but if they don't leave you a review, you can send them a follow-up X number of days later. So maybe I say I'm going to send them in an hour, but if a week later they haven't left me a review, it's actually going to give me the opportunity to go ahead and send them a review. And you can see it then builds this out, my original request, my first repeat, and my second repeat. So it's going to give me basically 3 attempts to get that. I say be careful because you want to be careful. Not everybody appreciates getting those reminders. Sometimes we do, and I don't think there's a problem in sending out one. I probably wouldn't send out any more than two, though. If after 3 requests they haven't decided to give you a review, it's probably just because they're not going to or because you don't want them to, and that's okay. So super easy. Again, you can configure custom email templates and make that super, super simple. You can review all of your requests. We've been demoing it here. You can see with Sarah, and we can take a look and see what happens. And it literally brings up Sarah's contact record, and we can see all the things that she's done. So it's super nice to have that. Then we actually can look at the exact reviews. This is going to pull those reviews exactly from you. So you can see it's pulling a review that Dale did for us on Google. It's a review that we got on Facebook, then one from Jenny on Google, one from Milton on Google, and a couple more Googles. But notice I can see all of them right here, which is great. I can also choose to reply. So I've not replied to Dale yet, which I should have. We can actually click reply right here, or I can click on the AI reply, and it's going to generate a reply for me. And then I can choose whether or not I want to send it or not send it. So there we go. It's just that easy. And if I like that, I can say send. And now it's going to go ahead. Oops, air it out. That's probably because the review was left last year. Like I said, we're working on doing this, but it would send it out and you can see it's that easy to get it set up. So I get to see what's happening. It's super easy and super beneficial. We then have our video testimonials. Again, you can set these up to do this. You can set up a collector where I would like record a video and say, hey, thanks for taking my training. I'd love to have you give us a review. And we ask for a video review. They can do that. They actually then send it back. We can embed it, actually, even a video widget on our website if we want. In addition to that, you've got other widgets that you can install. So if you want to showcase your reviews, you can take this and it will literally pull the reviews that you've received and embed them on your website for you. It can be super helpful. So you can see I can go through and look at this. So this is a preview of a widget. I can literally go ahead and take this code that I have and grab that and I can put that directly on my website. So I could go into my website and embed that anywhere that I wanted to. I can create new versions. There's multiple templates that are involved, so I can do different styles if I want to, and it previews these to show what they look like. So super nice. By the way, it's easy to change colors and all that. But if you like a box one like that, I can do that. And then again, you can customize these if you want, but it shows you in real time exactly how that's going to come together. And so it's a great way to showcase your reviews once you start gathering them. If you work with a Google business page as a local business, I recommend you do that. This is where you can integrate that. We don't do that because Google doesn't really like global businesses that don't have a lot of people in offices. We've had issues with continuing to get our Google business page suspended and then reactivated and suspended. So we have not integrated that. And then you've got your settings tab.
You
And
have
this
to
is the
have
one I
a
was,
physical location, Jonathan, to have that
is
Google
that why?
business.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
They
they
don't
check
like
it.
they
Yeah,
don't like my house is what it is, boils down to then. That's all
correct.
right. Thank you for that, Joe. I appreciate that. This is my favorite part of it because this is where we get to configure auto responses. I've shown you all the fun stuff, but this is where the work actually happens. We mentioned right up front about automatically sending responses, suggesting things that you can do and others. So this is my favorite part. I want to do auto responses. How long do I want to wait between responding and how do I want to then send them out? What do I want my triggers to be? We've talked automations with so many things. Just like everything else, we can go into our automations and we can go ahead and begin to set up automations that get triggered by various events, such as maybe we're an HVAC company and our service tech marks the job as complete. The moment that's complete, we can wait 10 minutes and we can send that review request out. They can be sent out as a link here, which you can configure. Again, we saw this screen. You can do it in SMS and in email, depending on what you have configured. So that's super easy to do. You can even if you want, use WhatsApp. So although that's not as popular here in the US, I know it's very popular outside of the US. You can even send events and requests via WhatsApp. We can do QR codes that we've already talked about if we want, and you can take a look at any one of those. So let me just edit mine here and give you an example. So it's really simple, but maybe I want to post that on my door or something. I can do that very easily. I can download that. And then this is another great feature. So sooner or later, when you're requesting reviews, you're likely going to get some spam reviews. And HighLevel can actually manage that for you. And while they were not going to remove the spam reviews from your Google profile or your Facebook profile, what will happen when you go to embed it in the widget section, it'll remove any of those spam messages and spam reviews from your widget. So you don't have to worry about on Saturday night going to look at your website and realizing somebody gave you a fictitious review 20 minutes ago and it's now showing up on your website and you're like, great, how did that get there? You can turn on the spam reviews and it will automatically detect whether that's a spam or not, and it won't show it. So super, super easy. And then last but not least, if you've got other platforms you want to integrate with, we've got tons of stuff we can integrate with. I know some people are an Airbnb host, you can connect with that. Angie's List, Amazon, Better Business Bureau, Booking.com. As you can see, lots and lots of options, your Google business profile. So if you're working in other areas, maybe you're doing a new software and you want to pull product hunt reviews and you can do that super easy. And it will integrate the reviews that you've got on product hunt into all the things we're talking about. The Knot, if you're a photographer or doing things for weddings, again, there's all kinds of stuff out here that you can connect to. So if you've actively built them and you're like, how do I bring those reviews into the system so I can manage them? These integrations will help you do that. And it makes it super simple. The last thing I want to show you before we go to Q&A is on the integration side. So like anything else, this is where the real power of HighLevel comes through. I can go out and I can create a workflow. As a reminder, when I create a workflow, I need to go ahead and give it a trigger. So let me just help my team out here and go demo delete so they know they can get rid of this later. They've got a great simple way now we can do it just with AI. By the way, I recommend you start with this. It makes it so easy. Let's just say I'm again, a contractor. I want to set up a review campaign that sends a Google review link to any customer that I have 10 minutes after their service ticket is marked complete. And based on that, it will automatically go through and build this out for me as a draft that I can use. You obviously can continue to work to make it soar. So it's got a question before it builds it. I have a question. So how is that service ticket marked as complete? We would say a tag is added. That's the way we would do it. And it's going to now use that to pull that in and create this for me. It'll take just a moment. And you can see it's working. In my mind, the absolute easiest way is to make these with AI and then edit it super fast and super effective. And then we'll be able to have a trigger. We always need a trigger for an automation. That's what starts it. In this case, just like it was asking what's going to happen. And then we need a process flow that's going to work through. So you can see I had it wait 10 minutes was in my settings over there. Let's take a look at what we've built out. We can scroll around. So on the contact tag, the service tag is going to be marked complete, and that's going to enter them into the workflow. So that's just on their contact record. Then it's going to wait 10 minutes, and I could change that time if I want. And then after 10 minutes, it's going to send them a Google review SMS. That's great. Let's say I don't want to use SMS though, because we don't happen to use that internally. I can go ahead and remove that and just ask it to please add in sending the Google review via email instead of SMS. And I can just literally, just like I'm talking to ChatGPT or Claude, I can type that into my request and it'll go through and build this out. Now, this is in beta format, so once in a while, it doesn't work the way you want. Although in my experience, it's been really good. Joe, I'm curious from your perspective is if you've used the AI tool and how effective you found it in building out workflows.
I have used it and I find it to be very, very effective. There's been a couple times it added some steps that I probably wouldn't have, but as you know, I really like making N8N automations too.
Yeah,
So I think it kind of took the long route around, but it doesn't really matter because it's not
it
like
got the
Make where
job done.
you're
Yeah,
charged on. I mean, it's just part of the fee. So
right. I have
yeah.
found I have found when I've built them, it's I can build an automation out manually. It's not a big deal, but it's been even easier like this just to tell it what I want done and have it build it. And then like I did there, I deleted the SMS one. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to update this. So basically after 10 minutes, it's going to send them an email and I'm literally just going to come in here and decide, what I want to put into here to put this up. They're going to leave it with the link, embed your right link and everything else. So everything's there. It's super simple. And again, you just want to set your reviews up. Then you want to come in and set up an automation to trigger at the appropriate time. Whatever is relevant for you and your business is how you're going to want to set that up. And then once you save that action, it's ready to go. In this case, I'll save it for now. We'll get rid of it. You also have to publish it, by the way. I have not published this one, so nothing's going to happen, but it's that easy to go ahead and build out that automation for you. And if nothing else, what I'd encourage you to do from this training, just go ahead and set up the basic HighLevel reviews, set up an automation, even if it just means you're adding a tag to something. So I can add another tag, for example, that says when we add a contact tag, and I don't have it in here, but I could go in and say when the tag added equals like Google review. So now if I wanted to send that to Sherry, all I need to do is go add that tag to her record and it will automatically send it out. So there's multiple ways you can do things. And then with multiple tags, it's nice because I got multiple things it could do to put somebody into that workflow. So super easy, super effective. Like I said, my challenge to you guys would be to say, go into the reviews and configure the basics so it's got all your information, and then set up a simple automation that will allow you to start requesting those reviews from your clients. Now, something that I do, and this is totally up to you if you want to do it or not, I actually try to lead the client a little bit into what they do. Not a ton, but I let them know the following. When we're asking for that review, it's like I'm reaching out. I see Patrick here. Patrick, I'm reaching out asking for your opinion on how things went. I want to let you know that, everybody looks at reviews differently, but my team considers anything less than a 5-star review to be a failure. If for any reason you're not comfortable giving us a 5-star review, Patrick, would you do me a favor and would you reach out to me directly? Now, why do I do that? One, some people just think a 3 or 4 is a great review and they never give fives out because they just don't think anybody should get a 5. I want to let them know that my team and I consider anything less than a 5 to be a failure because 4s aren't bad, but 3s are, at least with Google reviews, at least in my opinion. The other thing I want to do is I want to preface it that if you've had a bad experience, what I don't want them doing is clicking on that Google link. Now, like I mentioned up front in the call, Google or HighLevel used to give you the ability to ask them up front what they were going to review and then route you to the appropriate thing. Don't do that. That's against Google rules. If they find out you're doing that, you're going to be in trouble. What you can do, though, is you can say something like, Patrick, if you're not comfortable giving me a 5-star review, would you click this link and email me so I can address that? Because now Patrick still has the Google link that he can click on to flame me if he wants to, but he also has the ability to go ahead and reach out to me to get the problem solved. And what I found through years of doing Google reviews when we had our agency, that if you give someone who's frustrated the opportunity to share their frustration, that's what they want more than to give you a negative review. In other words, most people who are frustrated aren't just focused on giving you the negative review. They want a resolution and they didn't feel they got one. And so if you give them that opportunity, you can avoid a lot of negative reviews. So just my 2 cents for what it's worth. All right, Q&A time. Let's dive in. What questions? The reviews are real simple, as you saw. They're super simple to set up. Not one of the more complicated things. Annette, what's on your mind and what can I answer for you about reviews?
Hey, Jonathan, again.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
So,
glad you joined us. That's great. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, you're probably like, Annette always has a question, and I do. I always have
You
the
know
question.
what? But if you've ever done a training, you and I both know how much you appreciate the people that have questions
Yes.
because killing dead air, oh boy, that can get quick.
I'm like,
Uh,
please ask
yeah,
the
please,
question.
somebody ask me a question, please.
Yeah,
Annette, are
yeah.
you there?
So,
Yes. Oh, thank you.
so me. So, okay, I do vacation rentals on Airbnb. And so one of the things that we do now is when someone gives us a 5 star on Airbnb, we copy that review and we send it back to the guest and ask them to rewrite this, to copy and paste this same
Hmm.
thing on Google. Is
Yes.
there a way that I can do this automatically? In
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So in
So,
HighLevel, you can have it watch your reviews, and I can't tell you the exact workflow, but I do know that it's possible. And that when you receive a new review, that you basically copy and paste it, even have AI rewrite it for them if you want, and send it back and say, hey, would you be willing to post this similar review or like review that we've rewritten into Google or Facebook or Yelp or whatever you want?
mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
So would I approve it before it actually go to
Depends on how you
Google?
set the workflow up. So you could set it to happen automatically or not. I would say with Airbnb, knowing at least I don't have a lot of experience, but my son and daughter-in-law have an Airbnb, and
Mhm.
it's my perception, tell me if I'm right, that whether or not you get a positive review has virtually nothing to do with your property. It has to do with the individual who's renting the property. And
Absolutely.
are they trying to scam you out of any of the money they paid you?
Yes.
Um, because I know they've got negative reviews from people that have called them during the stay and said how amazing it was, and then at
Hmm.
the end said, "Oh, by the way, we found a piece of trash, and if you don't give us $500 back, we're going to give you a one-star review."
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. So I don't
so
want
on
those
that,
people.
I would want to approve it before I did that, but then you could make that workflow through HighLevel, just send you an approval, and then upon approval, it could move forward or whatever.
Okay, so basically I can have it pull the review from Airbnb, send it to the guest for them to put it, but before they actually put it on Google, I create like a tag
No,
or something to
no,
come
you
back to
can't
me.
do that. So I'm
Okay.
sorry. The review would be in between the steps. So if somebody left you a review before it sent them an approval, it could send it to you. No, once you give them the link, there's no way to approve that, whether it's Google or Airbnb or Verbo or anything else. Once they have the link, unless Airbnb and Verbo do something different that I'm aware of, but Google in particular, that link goes, that comment, that review goes live. You don't have any opportunity to say anything about it. You
Okay.
know, I
Okay.
know, for example, when we had our digital agency, we had somebody from Brazil that had given us a one-star review. We never in the history of our agency had a client in Brazil. I wrote
Mm,
to Google dozens of times about, hey, this is not a client. We don't have any clients in Brazil. Here's who we serve. And Google's response was crickets. I never heard a word back from them. You
yeah,
know,
that's their usual response.
yeah, I reached out to the person that had done it. And I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry you had a bad experience, but it wasn't with us because you're not one of our clients. And their response is, I am too. Okay,
Mm,
not gonna. They weren't, but I mean, sometimes
mhm.
you can't beat it. So yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing there that we could do. There's no way
Okay.
to gate that.
No.
So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, good
Awesome.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Or that it? I don't want to rush off.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the Facebook. I put it in the chat, and thank you, Sherry and Jocelyn, for answering about where I find it. But I was wondering, how does it show up on someone else? Like if someone is looking for someone in with my expertise, how do they see those reviews?
They're not going to see your Facebook reviews unless they go to your business page. So,
Okay.
because Facebook's a closed community, they're not going to see that unless they go to your business page. Kind of like with your Google reviews, unless they actually look at your Google business profile, they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to see that just because it's not part of you know who you are. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's the big difference there.
So it's wherever when they go to the business page, when they go to look at my profile, those reviews will come up there.
Right,
Got
exactly. So the reviews have the most value. Let's go and share the screen here a minute. So let's go out to Google. And let's say that I want to look up the car dealership where I got my last car. Let me see if I can remember. Tamron Honda, I think it was. Yeah, there we go. I won't leave them a review, but we'll take a look. So they've got a 4.6-star review with 5,218 reviews.
it.
I'm pretty sure before I bought my vehicle from them, I probably checked that out. I don't remember. It was about a year and a half ago, but I'm pretty sure when I bought it, I probably checked that out. Was I not looking for that dealership? It wouldn't just pull up and show me, hey, Tamron Honda has a great rating unless it was on a web page or something there. So in order for that to show up in a normal listing, I would actually either I'd have to like if I was Tamron Shores, we'd have to take and put it on the website somewhere. There'd have to be statements about, you know, hey, we have 5,200 plus reviews and a 4.6-star rating type of thing.
Okay.
Because that Google review itself, at least in my experience, isn't going to go show up in a review. Let's look for Honda dealers and just see what happens here near me. So, yeah, you can see here, again, I'm showing three different dealers, Mobile, Daphne, and Pensacola, but I'm not, even this is though this is a Google thing, they're not showing me their reviews. Now, here, okay, here it's happening. I don't know why that's being brought in. Notice it's coming up on Yelp. My guess is that Yelp and Blue Book have a special arrangement or something because we're not seeing reviews there. You know, in fact, I know what it is. These star ratings, that's being fed from the Kelly Blue Book website via schema data to Google and Google's reading that. So this is not their Google reviews any more than this is their Yelp reviews, but not their Google reviews. So that's being fed by schema. So that Google review that you want to show, notice is not showing up anywhere in any of these results. So the only way I'm going to find that out is go and look. And for example, when I hover on Pensacola Honda, I can see the reviews. Same for AutoNation and same for Tamron. But I have to actually go look for it. So your reviews, just like on Facebook, they're only going to show up when somebody's looking for your business. You're not actually going to show up in search for that.
Does it help having the reviews like with the algorithm?
It
Does
doesn't
it?
hurt. I don't know the ultimate answer. I don't know. But it
Okay.
certainly is not going to hurt any. The primary reason for those again is going to be the fact that somebody decides, okay, maybe they're looking at your Airbnb property or they're looking at you as a coach and they go, I want to know who's Annette. I haven't met Annette yet. And they go
Mhm.
to find out who you are. It's that ability to get your a Google review and see that about you when they go there. It's considered a very high trust signal to buyers
Mhm.
because most buyers know that Google doesn't play games with the reviews, which frustrates some businesses just because sometimes unfair stuff happens, like the
Mhm.
Brazilian one. I mean, we just had to go in and post a comment that goes, "Hey, we're really sorry, but we've looked in our records and we don't have any clients in Brazil. So, we're hoping that, you can get help." But that didn't help our overall rating. We still, instead of having a 5.0 as an agency, we had a 4.9 because we
Mhm.
had a negative review on there and nothing we could do about it. But again, that's been one of the benefits, especially if you're a local service provider or anything like that. It's a real benefit because they customers tend to know that Google isn't playing around. So if they see a review, they know they can typically trust that review.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good question. I appreciate that very much. Anybody else got any questions about high level reviews and how they work or how to set them up or how to get to them, anything whatsoever? Patrick, go ahead, sir.
Not really a question, just wanted to share with you since
I appreciate that.
nobody else is on out there.
No, please,
Uh,
please.
I'll tell you a really kind of a fun story that happened to me and why I got into doing digital marketing was I had a really successful on offline business built around my reputation that went from 1988 up to about 2013, 2010 or somewhere in there. And one day I was like, I didn't care less about my reviews online because I got insane amount of review business from my reputation. And one day, just for fun, I searched the name of my real estate company at the time, and I had one review from Yelp that said I was a liar and a thief, and you should never do any business with me. And I had a freaking heart attack. I was like,
I was going to say you went what?
I like was like insanely freaked out. So at the time, I didn't know anything about it, but what I did was I tried to contact Yelp, and they did what you had said. It's all crickets. It's like, no, they said, sorry, nothing we can do. And I looked at the review, and it turned out the person number one was not a client of mine, but my name's Patrick Smith, and there was a lot of Patrick Smiths that are realtors.
I bet. Yeah.
And so what I did was I just responded to the guy and said, hey, I understand your frustration with what you said was your problem. If I had gone through that, I would be really upset too. But you have the wrong Patrick Smith. Now, I'll tell you what, I will buy you lunch and tell you how to fix that problem if you'll contact me.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
Okay. And I just did it randomly off the top of my head because that's kind of who I am. I'm like, dude, want to help you out. Sorry you had the
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
And then later on, when I went into online marketing and doing reputation online, I realized that was probably the best thing I could have said. Because even though I got a negative review and it went from, in today's day, maybe from 5 to a 4.9
Yep.
stars, anybody that looks at why you had a negative review will see the response because people look at the positive and the negative,
And that's why it's
right?
so important to respond,
And
especially to
they
the
go,
negatives.
wow, you were really a cool guy about the way you responded, right?
Most of
So
us
just
know that
throwing that out
not,
there.
yeah, most of us know that not every review left is accurate. I mean, Amazon reviews when I read them, Google reviews when I read them. I know that if somebody's just going off on somebody, chances are they've missed the point at some level about what's happening. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Leaving a review like that is one of the best, most positive things that you can do in order to add value to your business because you're now demonstrating to everybody else when the poop hits the fan, here's how I respond to it. And that's really important because a lot of businesses don't respond well. They get mad and they tell the story. The last thing you want to do, even if you're wrong, the last thing you want to do is air your dirty laundry there because it's just going to make you look not trivial. I can't remember the word, but it's going to make you look bad, and you don't want to do that. It's just not worth it. And it's hard, when you get those reviews. We had one in the entire time we had our agency. I think we had one, may have two, no more. We did hundreds and hundreds of websites, but people that ended up asking for their money back. In both cases, you can probably relate, Patrick. It's people who wrote us a check and then thought that was the only thing they needed to do a website. And then when we said, hey, we need some information from you, we need you to review stuff, we got crickets back and then they asked for their money. So we did. And when that happened, we had a mutually non-disparagement clause, which was basically, I'm giving your money back. I don't agree, but I want to keep you happy. That's the right thing to do. You agree, well, we had one the day after he cashed the check, but guess what? A one-star review. What am I going to do about it? I certainly didn't go out there and say, hey, we had a mutual non-disparagement clause. We agreed not to do this. No, I just went out there and I said, I'm really sorry you had a bad experience working with us. As you'll note, that's why you deposited the refund check that we sent you back yesterday.
Exactly.
And that's
Beautiful.
it. Because anything
Yeah.
more would have just opened up a can of worms and it wasn't worth it at that point. So it was far easier just to call it
It
quits.
actually
And
helps you. It grows your business and it feels better anyway. You don't need to vent at all these people, you
well,
know.
and I would hope that most people that read that went, well, okay, there was a bad experience and they refunded the guy. What more could you ask for? They're not worried about who's right and who's wrong at that point in time. So
Now Jocelyn's got a question, but if she could, the Google business profile that you can't get because you at your home office.
correct.
Um, how do you feel that that impacts your overall rating? Because Google is such a powerhouse if you're using some of the other listing tools, all of the other.
It's
Um,
a downside. I mean, it would be worth having an office probably, but I don't have one. So I mean, we do. I mean, the state of Alabama recognizes my office as my home location without any problem whatsoever. And I paid plenty of taxes last year that the IRS. So everybody that legally matters recognizes my home address. The fact that Google won't do it, it's just one of those battles you can't win. So I don't I don't try to, you know.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for everything. You're always an amazing person to work with, and I love your team and everything you do, from Sherry and Joya, however I say her name right.
Joa, yeah,
And
thank you.
Joya
Thank
and
you.
everybody else. You guys are awesome. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Patrick. We appreciate the kind and good suggestions. Really good story because it matters with reviews get personal and it's not helpful when that happens. So, Joycelyn, what can we do for you?
Hey there. I hope I don't sound like I'm in a wind tunnel. It's right here in New York, and I have a fan right behind me.
Well, we'll
Um,
do our best. How can we help you
okay,
out?
so I was just going to make a comment since you were showing search that it used to be that the star ratings and the number of reviews did show up in Google Maps, but now that's a benefit for people paying for local service ads. So they've switched the local service ads to looking more like organic listings. And now the local service ads, people get those star ratings and the number of reviews on the ad
Correct.
they're paying for. So, that's why you don't see anybody else's until you click through to their actual listing.
Yeah, Google, like everybody else, they want you to pay to
Mm-hmm.
play, and I get it.
Yep.
That's part of it. And so they have definitely done that. In years ago when you'd go and search, it was really clear who the ads were for and really clear who were organic listings. And one of the things that Google found out over the years is that people were skipping the ads because they
Yep.
knew they were ads. And so Google has quietly but very purposefully over the years tried to make it harder and harder to determine what's an ad and what's an organic listing. And
Hmm.
you're right, one of the things they've done, especially on their local business ads, is that, if you're a plumber and you want somebody to see your 5-star reviews with 400 reviews, you've got to have a local service listing with them that costs money and run that local business. I forget what it's called now, but if you don't do that,
Yeah, their
people aren't going to.
LSAs. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, your LSAs, they're just not going to see it. It's part of that pay to play process that they're moving into. And part of that as business owners is just accepting that that's the reality that we live in. And there's not much way around it. And then figuring out how can we do it. The one thing I would encourage people, if you remember when we looked at that, you can include review schema. So it's SCHEMA, if you're wondering what I'm saying. You can include review schema in your website information that you send to Google. And sometimes they will pull that review schema and display it. Now, that's not the same as a Google review, but as you saw with a couple of things that we had from Yelp and that type of stuff there, it was hard to determine when I saw it because the review that popped up showed 5 stars. So that is a possibility, but there's no guarantees just because you provide that schema data that they actually go ahead and display it. They're not like guaranteeing to do that or anything, but sometimes that works. It's a workaround.
And another workaround is to register yourself with Google Business Pages as a service area business instead of a standard local business, because then you don't need an address.
The weird thing is, I don't think that that worked because I'm pretty sure we tried that, and I'll go check a minute. I don't think I'll share my screen here. I don't think Whitebeard Strategies, it is. I don't think I have a Google page anymore because we've had one. We had like a ton of reviews and they took it down. And I'm pretty sure, and we registered, we set it up
Right.
as a
A
service
service thing.
area.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, they, as you
and
can,
the problem is that they still want the service area to be local. So, like, you can't make your service area your state or the U.S., which is
yeah,
unfortunate. You have to be within the general area of your actual address. So when reviews come in, I think it's like there's a certain number that triggers it that are outside of what they have designated your service area. Your listing gets removed.
yeah, which is, and I'm thankful I don't have to deal with, it, but I know that's a issue we had when we had our web design agency. If you had like multiple locations, it could be a royal pain to manage all that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see Patrick nodding. I think anybody who's been in the marketing business knows that Google doesn't necessarily make it easy, but they are a powerhouse and it's really valuable. And they do not make it simple to do. So yeah, again, like I say, we had I want to say 50 some 5-star reviews. And then my office has always been out of my home. I've never had a physical commercial space for Whitebeard Strategies. I don't need one. So why do I want one? And yeah, we'd submit all the information and everything else, and then boom, didn't matter.
Yeah, I
We
used
even
to have a
tried.
co-working space, and that worked for a while until my listing got taken off there too. But that gave me an actual mailing address.
Yeah, well, and
So,
and
yeah.
and we had even went to the when we were before we moved to Alabama, we did own another property where the business was based out of. It happened to be a rental property that we purchased. We even went so far as to change the address type with the post office to a commercial address and documented all that with Google and everything else, and they let us up for about 6 to 8 weeks and it took us back down again. So
You're
sometimes
wise
you
to
just
everything these days.
sometimes you just go, hey, whatever. It's not worth arguing about. So, yeah, the frustrating part to me is if you actually have, as many of us do, if you've got a legitimate business. I look at Steve and Sharon. They've got multiple businesses that I think they run out of their home. I don't know that for sure, but they've got multiple businesses, legitimate businesses, and the fact that you can't get Google reviews because of that physical location in 2026 seems a little short-sighted to me, but that's
It's
just me, and I'm
ridiculous. Yeah.
and I'm biased. So,
No, I share your bias.
yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Good input, guys. I love all the input. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions about Google reviews, about setting it up, anything general about high level? We've got about 10 minutes left. I'd be happy to answer any questions that are there. Bill, I see you've got a question. What can we do for you, sir?
Yes. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, sir.
So
Good to
my
meet
question
you.
is, nice to meet you too. So I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I work with a client who deals with HighLevel. I'm a virtual assistant,
Okay.
and he recently asked me to like build a system whereby when someone completes a course, he or she can submit a review. But I wasn't able to do that because he wants the reviews to come from Amazon. So I'm still like trying to figure it out, but I've not
Yeah,
gotten the best way to execute it.
the only way, and Sherry or Joe, if you guys are on, if you have any ideas, welcome to them. And the only way I think you can do that, it's my understanding, like the Amazon integration, isn't actually going to send you the reviews you get to Amazon. It's going to pull your reviews from Amazon into high level so that they can be displayed in the widget. So I think in order to do that, you would need some type of tool that would allow that type of thing to happen. Now, certainly you could send an automation out through high level that triggered upon the course completion and then sent them a link to the Amazon review, but it would not be managed once they left that ecosphere, that would no longer be managed by high level. In other words, that review would then have to basically be left by Amazon and then pulled back in by high level on the back end, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's what your customer is looking for, but I don't think there's a direct integration, at least from high level. There may be in something else like Zapier or something. I'm not sure. So
Okay. Thank you, thank you. That's
thank you. No,
understood.
it's a good question. It's always fun when you're trying to put something together and figure out how to make it work. One of the things I'd highly recommend is take a look at Perplexity and explain the job flow that you're trying to have done in Perplexity and ask for recommendations. I have found Perplexity does a great job of understanding most softwares and what are available and ways to make things happen. So it might be something to try to pull that together. Good to see you. Thanks again. We
Okay.
appreciate you being here. Patrick, you're back with us. What's
Thank
on your mind, sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, and maybe my dog was messing with me at the time and I forgot.
That's all right.
But did you say anything to them about video testimonials? I'm not sure if they're still in labs or if it's open for everybody.
It is open for everybody now. Yeah, we commented that it's up and it's open. I have not used them. Have you used the video testimonials at
Yeah,
all?
I have it on two of my different websites, and my clients love it, and it's been great. And I use the widget that's in there to put the video testimonials right on the website using the GHL widget for the testimonials,
Nice.
and turned out really great. I did a couple of people as a test run, and it now I'm using that for a lot of really more powerful responses when you want to paste that widget on a website. You
Well, and
know.
there's no doubt a video testimonial trumps a text testimonial. The text ones are nice, but the videos are powerful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's great. I just I like I said, the dog might have been barking at me when you said that, but I
oh,
just
that's
wanted to
okay.
share that. It's a
Thank
great
you.
tool.
No, and sharing what's working is great. People love to hear it because it's not just me then, it's sharing what's working. So that's good. Tori, you're back with us. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jonathan, can you hear me?
I just can you bring that mic in a little closer again? There we go.
Oh, what's going on with this? I was just curious about people's experience with a phone number. Like every time that you get a client and they want to keep their phone number, and then I know in the beginning, like porting a number over to GHL has been a nightmare. I don't know if that's improved or not, or do most people just do the forwarding of
It's
of
a
their business number? Like how to, yeah,
That's a
what's
good
your
question. I know when we first started, we had a Michigan number. We did change it to a Alabama number, mainly because we don't get a lot of phone calls in what we do. But we didn't have an issue. We actually had a Google Voice number that was a Michigan area code, and we were able to transfer it into high level without any issue whatsoever. It didn't give us any issue. Patrick, anybody else who's doing agency work, have you guys ran into any issues with porting numbers at all? If you guys don't mind if I'll call on you, you may have some more insights. Go ahead, Patrick.
No, I haven't had any issues with it really. And some of my customers want to port their numbers in. Some of them just like I have a auto mechanic shop. They don't even want to do it because they have a whole VoIP that they don't want me to set up, even though I could. All they do is when they go home for they do that star 72 or whatever the heck it is to the new number that I bought for them for $1.15, right? And so the voice AI picks up as soon as they leave, and their voice AI talks until they come in the morning and turns it back on, and they are in love with it. They just like they're just all over about it, and I'm like, really? Okay, makes you happy.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, it
So
sounds like a simple solution. Yeah. Tori, what type of issues are you running into any issues? You're just kind of curious about what's happening.
No, I'm always, I always feel like there's going to be pushback when we start discussing the phone number, and I've
Hmm.
had, I know I've had others on my team that said, it was no problem to report it, but they had to get on with support. Is that like the process always when you need to port a number?
I don't know because I didn't handle it
Never did.
personally. Patrick, do you know when you're porting a number, do you have to do anything special? Is it a online process? Is it getting a hold of high level on a support? Do you know?
the last time I did it was probably a year and a half ago, two
Oh
years
Okay.
yeah.
ago. So the odds are it's really different now. But at that time, yeah, you had to like present it. You had to kind of contact them, and they would fill out a thing, and then they'd send it back. And it took a couple of days, kind of a thing, to make it all happen.
Right.
But
Right.
I believe that's a lot faster now. I mean, I remember when A2P was 5 weeks, right? So,
Oh,
you
right.
know,
Exactly.
so yeah.
Okay. I
I
just,
now I think it's faster if you work with their internal phone system than if you work with Twilio, if I'm not
right.
mistaken. Do you know anything about that, either of you guys? Have you
I
run into that?
I
I
just use
use the
high
LC
level.
system because it's
Yeah.
using their system makes it all tie together better. And they're
Right.
they're just buying they're buying Twilio at bulk, so why not pay them, right? Why do I
Right.
want to go mess with Twilio? Also, I have a Twilio account. I don't even want to use it. You
Well, and
know?
it's more technical, it's more complicated. I totally get that. Yeah.
So
So
how
Yeah.
do you approach that though? Do you say, well, we can use your number or we can give you a whole new number?
It depends on what the number's for. I mean, that's the reality is like, what are they going to use it for? If it's going to be something that's customer facing that a lot of people are married to because it's been their business number, then I would try to figure out a way to port it in and do that. That's what I did with my last client was a med spa. So they wanted to keep that number. So it was really important. Right. And I just told them flat out, I said, it's going to take us a while to do this and there may be some overlap. So cut me some
Okay.
slack. you know,
Yeah, because I'm thinking if
we'll
it's
get
just
messy,
forwarding,
but we'll bring it
forwarding.
in. And then other people, I go, look, if you're not getting a lot of calls, who cares? Right? The customer that your new people are gonna your new visitors are gonna go to your website and see whatever number's there and call it, right? And that's gonna trigger your voice AI or conversation AI or whatever, and or go where you want it to do. Or you could just and you could take that new number and email it to all your other people and go, hey, we just changed our phone number, blah, 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 blah. Call our new voice number and talk to our voice AI and we'll give you 10% off. you
And
know?
that's a good
So
idea. I actually like that one. That's a good idea.
you
right?
just triggered a revive it campaign off of your new phone number. I love that kind of stuff. To me, that's just like freebies.
I'm always thinking of like, say like the hairstylists, they live off of their cell phone, right? And like, and they get all this spam and stuff. So like my strategy is like, you can have your own number, like you don't have to be a slave to your cell phone anymore and get all that spam. But then they're like, they'll be like, well, everybody knows this number.
And then to
Oh,
just port it in and then then you use the AI to cut the spam out.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. Good question, Tori. Thank you for asking. Patrick, thank you for
Thank
helping
you.
out on that. I
Yeah.
really
Thank
appreciate it. You
you.
got some real world. I haven't ported a number myself into GHL in probably 3+ years since I sold the agency or stepped away from the agency. So great stuff. Well, guys, we're at the top of the hour, so it's time to go. Thank you to everybody for hanging out with us and joining in. Let me just encourage you, if you're not using reviews, high level is a great way to do it. If you guys are thinking about trying high level and you're not, we do have a 30-day free trial. You should have got a link to that in your email. You guys are welcome to try that out. But either way, you guys now have access to all of our GHL trainings. We'll add all of you into our GHL training portal where we put all the replays and that. So if you ever want, you're welcome to do that. And yeah, hopefully you love it as much as we do. We'll see you guys on the other side. Make it a great day, everybody. Bye bye.